So the recording has started. A big welcome to you all. It's wonderful to see 109 of you with us on this call. Now, the big help out marks the King's coronation and highlights opportunities for everybody across the UK to get involved with volunteering. This webinar is to talk through the experience of being a Shout volunteer and how you can help us support the 2,000 children, young people and adults who reach out for mental health support every day. As I said, we hope that we're going to inspire you and answer your questions throughout this webinar. I'm going to cover a bit about what Shout is about, how we came about, and then we're going to have a bit of an overview of being a Shout volunteer, and then the benefits of volunteering with us, so what you'll get out of the experience, and the real nuts and bolts of volunteering, so applying, the training program and the ongoing support that we provide. Now, I should do introductions first. My name's Sarah Kendrick. I'm the Clinical Director here at Shout, and I have two of our wonderful volunteers with us. So, Chris, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hi, I'm Chris. I've been volunteering for Shout for about 3.5 years.
Thanks, Chris. And we also have Nia with us. I think. I'm not sure if we're having a problem with Nia's sound, perhaps. Can anybody put that in the shout? She said she was muted earlier. Anybody from my team can give me a heads up on what's happening with Nia?
I think Nia's, unfortunately, we're just trying to unmute her at the moment.
Okay. Well, Nia is with us and has also been a volunteer with us for some time. Hopefully, when we get to the part where I'm going to invite Chris and Nia to share their experiences, we will have sorted out Nia being muted. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So what is Shout? Well, we were set up with a grant from the Royal Foundation, and we've been supported through our journey of the last 4 years by the Prince and Princess of Wales. So we've been very fortunate to have their support. Our service exists for anybody who is struggling to cope. We're a free and confidential text messaging service for anybody in the UK. And we're available around the clock, so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that makes us really uniquely accessible. And we're not just accessible in terms of, you know, the timings of when people can text us, but because also we will talk to anybody with any issue at all. And so our doors, our virtual doors are open to anybody who just feels the need to connect with somebody. So texters just text Shout to 85258 and they're connected with one of our volunteers. Shout is powered by Mental Health Innovations, and Shout is really the first product from Mental Health Innovations. When I say that we talk to people with any issue, I mean any issue from grief, loss, loneliness, people experiencing change through to issues around self-harm perhaps, or thoughts of suicide. So it's a huge range of things. You can see on this slide that we've had about 1.9. We're about to hit 2 million conversations this year. So that's over the lifetime of our service, which has been 4 years, and we speak to about 2,000 people a day who, as I said, are experiencing those issues that I mentioned earlier. 86% of our texters say the conversation was helpful. And obviously, that's a really important statistic to us. And again, sort of testament to what our volunteers do. Our service is powered by our volunteers. They're the lifeblood. They're the people who talk to our texters. Now, 43% of our texters haven't asked for help from anybody else, or maybe this is the first time that they're seeking help. And our aim is to give people a really good first experience of reaching out for help, because we know that the ability to reach out for help is one of the most important protective factors for our mental health and well-being. So if you have a good experience, especially if you're very young, and about half of our texters are children and young people, then we hope that sets you up for life, feeling confident that you can get support when you need it, and that your determination to seek support pays dividends for you. 70%, 74% of our conversations actually happen outside of the hours of 9 to 5. Again, that's because people, don't have crises, or, things don't happen in life necessarily during the hours of 9 to 5. People come and talk to us often when other services are closed. A lot of our texters, tell us that they're not the services that they would normally rely on for support aren't available for them at that time. So we're there in the down times of those services. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So on to our brilliant Shout volunteers. We have 2,500 active Shout volunteers, and they are in every region of the UK. We have a great spread right across the UK, and it may surprise you to know that some of our volunteers are also in New Zealand, as well as some of our staff. And that's obviously because they can work comfortably during their daytime to meet our nighttime need. Now, volunteers can volunteer flexibly and from home. We ask people to dedicate 2 to 4 hours a week. And I think the most successful and settled volunteers are people who tend to volunteer on a regular weekly basis. All of our volunteers are supported by our team of clinicians. So when they're volunteering live on our platform, they're overseen by, that's my team of clinicians, and our team of brilliant coaches look after them off the platform. So they're there in the background for support if somebody's had a tricky conversation, or just for some advice. I think you'll hear from our volunteers that we have an amazingly warm and really vibrant volunteer community. It's really important to us that we look after our volunteers, and we provide ongoing training and forums for skills development and connection with each other. We aim to teach our volunteers a wide range of skills which have impact both in their work and in their personal life. I will talk a little bit more about some of the stats that we have on that in a minute. And we know that our volunteers gain pride and satisfaction and a real sense of purpose from being involved in volunteering. So I'd like to ask Chris and Nia. Now, maybe we'll go for Chris first, just because I'm not sure where. Oh, I'm not sure if Nia, do you want to give me the thumbs up, because I can see you if you think you can speak? Yes.
Hello.
Okay, so we'll great. Nia, introduce yourself, please. That would be great. We missed you at the start.
Big entrance. Hi everyone. I'm Nia, and I've been volunteering for Shout for almost 4 years now.
Thank you. And I'm just talking about volunteering, and it would be great to hear from you what motivated you to be a Shout volunteer 4 years ago?
So it was actually, it was probably the biggest decision I'd made in a long time. And it was on the back of me following the Heads Together campaign. I'd been sort of watching what was going on for those guys, and it was really interesting for me. So I had been toying with wanting to do something. I'd been at home with my girls for they were 13 and 15 at the time. So I'd been at home with them for a long time, and my confidence had taken a big dip, really, being very honest. And so that face-to-face interaction had become a bit of a scary place for me. So when I saw this, I was really interested because it was all online and it was all from home. So I was very safe in my little space in my kitchen, and it really felt just less confronting for me. It literally was just so straightforward being online, and I could take it at my own pace and build my own confidence. I knew I had something to offer. I didn't quite know what that was. I mean, I used to work in the city, so a completely different life, but then became a mother, and again that sort of changes you as a person. So I wanted to do something that meant that I wasn't suddenly going to disappear from my children's lives. I'd been, that was a decision that we'd taken as a family, that I wanted to be here. And so being, seeing the whites of my children's eyes as they come in through the door from school was really important for me. And actually, subconsciously now, it was super important that you can actually really get a fix for what's going on in their world. So it was a big leap of faith, but an incredible one.
And what was it about Shout that attracted you? So obviously the sort of online nature of it and being able to, volunteer from home. Was there anything about volunteering in terms of, people's mental health and well-being that?
Massively. So again, because I'd been following the Heads Together campaign and just seeing how open and honest and trying to break that stigma and open up those conversations, again, having 2 teenage girls myself, seeing how they were having to navigate the world very differently, and just the fact that Shout was offering the very first digital support and 24/7, it just really appealed. And especially with my youngest daughter, she was my eldest daughter. I don't even think there was an iPhone when she was born, but with my youngest, it was just such a natural thing for her to pick up. And I just really could really see the benefit of understanding that world. I'm not a dinosaur quite yet, but the world moves so quickly, and I really wanted to try and stay in tune, and keep that connection with my children as I sort of balloon off. So for Shout, it was nothing really was going to change for them. Mum was still going to be in the kitchen as they walked through the door, but it was really enabling me to use some skills that I had, but really learn new ones that have been life-changing for me.
Thank you, Nia. Chris, what about you? What motivated you to start with as a Shout volunteer?
I think similar to Nia, I saw particular things around the Heads Together, and I think it was a bunch of ideas and thoughts came together at the same time. So I've been in various helping roles through work and things like that for a number of years, and I've always wanted to do a bit more, but work always got in the way. It was just trying to fit it all together in my life. I then did a mental health first aid course and found that fascinating and inspiring and insightful. That came together with thinking about, within our family we have mental ill health and manage that, and my daughter, who struggles with that, was broadly one of my biggest supporters in when I started talking about, okay, what shall I do here? And she encouraged me, prompted me to go and sign up. I have to say, it was a bit, I like that leap of faith, Nia. It was a bit of a leap of faith for me, because I had no idea quite what I was going to get, how I was going to be supported through that when it all started. But very, very quickly realized that there's a massive amount of support through the training, the people that help you through that, the conversations we had, even down to working out what my own self-care plan was. So I started to get things for myself as I was going through very early stages, and that motivation just increased. And I met more and more people who were Shout volunteers. So I think there were a whole bunch of things just sort of came together. They all stitched together at that same moment. Key is the flexibility. I suddenly realized I could do something that fitted with work, with everything else I was trying to do in my time.
Yeah. Thank you. And Chris, what would you say is your favourite thing about now being a Shout volunteer?
Funnily enough, things like this, talking with other people about it. I'm passionate about it. We've got an amazing group of volunteers, some of whom I've met face to face. We actually meet up because they're sort of 5 miles down the road. There's a huge amount of support from coaches. I just love having conversations. So conversations with that have a sort of learning part to do with it. The coaches, the supervisors, and actually when we're working on the platform, there's a whole sort of community going on around you, and of course the texter is at the center of everything we do, but you can make that texter's world something better in the conversation you have by connecting with everybody else and joining up. So yeah, community, I would say. Great,
thanks, Chris. And what about you, Nia? What's your favorite thing about being a Shout volunteer?
Well, I need to be needed. I've realised this as I've evolved as a Shout volunteer. I've been able to sort of find the words around what it is it gives me, but I definitely need to be needed. And I find that actually the more time I'm spending on the platform, it's just enabling me to really open up the conversation with my own children, my own family, to make sure that they fully understand there's nothing is off topic, every conversation, and it just allows them to have that sort of openness. But I love the connecting that I've now got with pretty much everybody in my life. That's important to me, and we've connected differently, but certainly the fact that I need to be needed. That sounds very needy, doesn't it?
I think it sounds honest, Nia, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. So, and I think, again, coming back to what Chris was saying, it's that sort of pride and whatever, but my girls, they literally are my life, but they say to me, early days, when we were actually called crisis volunteers when we first started, trying to explain that to them, what that meant, and they would literally say, "Mama, go save lives, and if you save lives today," and I'd come off and I'd literally feel like Wonder Woman, and they got me a Wonder Woman t-shirt, and as a person, you just feel like, wow, like being proud of them, being proud of me. So
yeah, that's great. Thanks so much, Nia. Can I go on to the next slide, please? So thinking about, you may have heard that, volunteering is good for you. And I think, Nia and Chris are both testament to that. But, at Shout, we always want to use real data to evidence such claims. So we survey our volunteers twice a year. And 88% of them told us that volunteering with Shout enhanced their active listening skills and made them a better listener. And, I've heard that from, so many of volunteers. If I'm ever on the platform and I'm chatting to volunteers, they often say that that's one of the best things. They didn't realise what it was to really listen to somebody. And 74% said that their empathy had improved. And I think, when we have improved empathy, what that does is it improves our connection, it improves our sort of non-judgmental listening of people. Now, in terms of benefits for their social life, 66% of volunteers said they gained a sense of community through volunteering, and you heard that very clearly from Chris. And 55% said it helped them to feel more connected with other people. And connection for us is massive. You know, connection between people, and connection particularly if you're in crisis, or if you're feeling a bit chaotic, or, you know, if you're feeling needy or in need, connecting with somebody is such a huge protective factor. It enables you to start to think and to recognize what you need to do best. And that's certainly, you know, what we do with our texters. When we asked our volunteers about personal development, 88% told us that they had become a better listener, and 74% said that they were more empathic. And overall, an amazing 96% tell us that they're proud to be Shout volunteers, which is absolutely, you know, wonderful for us to hear. And a similar percentage would recommend being a Shout volunteer to others. So, you know, well up there in the 90s. Anybody who's on the call, we would urge you to come and join us. But I'd like to ask Nia and Chris something else. So can you tell us about the skills that you've developed since you've been a Shout volunteer? Nia, do you want to go first?
Crikey, honestly, it's going to sound really dramatic, but it's been life-changing for me. I can't really describe the connection that I now have with my teenagers. I honestly, hands down, would not have the relationship that I do with them. They're now 17 and 19. They're turning 18 and 20 this year, which is crazy in itself. But the way that I have changed my listening, like you just said, I really would have just... Previously, I've always been empathetic. I really do try and feel people and support them, but I was always one of those people that would jump in with a solution without being asked. Whereas the Shout training has made me really stop and listen. And that active listening, I didn't really know what that meant to start with, but it really is sitting with somebody and hearing them and seeing them. And I know that sounds funny when you can't actually see them on a text, but you know, just imagining them sat there with you and just sort of holding them, really supporting them in that minute. And for me, with my girls, I so would have jumped in too soon with conversation and tried to fix it all. And whereas now, and I can say this because I've asked them, you know, if they think I've changed in their last few years and how I've parented, and they both, and I'm not just saying this, but they both have said that they really feel like that I see them and I can you know, I listen to their lives and how different their life is. I don't sort of say, oh, back in the day when I was at college and university, this is what I really validate them. I hear what they're telling me and tell them that, yeah, that sounds really difficult, without saying, have you tried this? So unquestionably, my relationship with my children, which is so important to me, it is completely different. But not only that, I've really changed in the way that all of my relationships are. So with my mother, who actually passed away, she knew I was training and I was doing it, and I did it for a year before she died, and she was so proud of me for doing it. But when we found out she was dying, we had 6 weeks before she died, and just those 6 weeks, how I managed that time we had together. She was 500 miles away, but our telephone conversations, asking her how she was feeling, what was she worried about, how are you doing today, mum, how's that pain today, just the wording I was using, I would never have used that language before. I just would have been straight into, oh, mum, let's, you know, and it just would have been very different. So again, sounds dramatic, but literally it's been life-changing for me and how our relationship was those last few weeks. And on the back of that, I then literally practiced what I preached to the texters in terms of showing myself the compassion there that I needed. You know, your mum has just died. You need to just be kind to yourself, Nia. You need to just, you know, let people know, just actually, I'm having a bit of a tough day today. I don't need you to do anything, but I'm just telling you. So again, I can't really verbalize it as well as I'd like, but it really has been amazing.
I think you verbalized it wonderfully, Nia, I really do. And I don't think that's being at all dramatic. I think, that's just very true for you. And really fantastic to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Chris, what about you?
I mean, so much of what Nia has said is very similar. The whole piece about just understanding what listening really is. I had a sort of sense that I was a good listener and I would give people time, but I was also a fixer. I'm very much a sort of, okay, tell me what your problem is and I've got an answer for it. To be able to switch that off and really listen deeply and listen hard and understand where somebody is an enormous skill. And actually, sometimes it's just the only skill that you need to give people the space. We're in a massively fast working world. I've worked in the city and I've worked in offices. It's massively fast moving. Nobody's got time for each other. It's fix this, move on. What's the next thing? So I think something about pacing. I've slowed down considerably. I think that the idea of suspending any judgment, I think I probably would judge people a lot quicker than I do now. So I think there's something about slowing down. I've also, I feel I got more confidence about asking people how they are, because actually I'm now comfortable with whatever they tell me and I'm there for somebody. Whereas previously I would probably have, how are you? Okay, great, let's move on. Now it's much more about, I mean, I like that phrase you used, Nia, about holding the space. It's actually just sitting next to somebody and being comfortable to sit next to somebody. And we don't get a lot of that. We have the phrase, you need a good talking to. No, actually you need a good listening to. And I think that's the phrase that I probably picked up the most from what we've done.
And it's, thank you, Chris. It's exactly that compassionate approach, that we deploy listening to help people to feel connected in a moment when it's very hard, very often, to express what's on your mind. So we have to listen very hard. And the fact that, that each of you has learnt those skills and feel that they're valuable elsewhere is I think enormously inspiring for both me and will be for the people on this call. So just to remind you, I'm going to give you an email link at the end so that you can apply to be a volunteer. But I'd like to go to the next slide now and just talk you through how you might join the team. So our application process, you can see there's a link. Give us a shout /volunteer. All of this takes place online. I'm not sure that maybe we've not emphasized that enough. So you apply online, you train online, and you volunteer online. So people are texting in from their phones, you are responding on your laptop at home. Now, so please do follow that link to apply to be a volunteer. Now, what happens once you've completed the application form, that goes under review by our team. And then once you're approved, you can book onto a training cohort. And these are open once every couple of weeks. And so you train in sort of groups of 100, 150. And while you're training, there's a team, our training team, who are there to support you in your learning. So you go through the training online in different modules. The training is about 25 hours long, and we give you 6 weeks to do it. Some people do it in a shorter space of time, and some people just want to take their time and will take 6 weeks, because we recognize that everybody will do things at a slightly different speed, but the training team who it forms part of our coaching team are there every step of the way to give you a boost in your confidence, to help sort of, you know, normalize some of those confidence issues that we might have if we're coming back into training that we haven't, or topics that we may sort of hold some fear for us or some anxiety for us. That's why our team are there to support you. And then once you've graduated and you come onto the platform, you will have had an opportunity to do some sort of test conversations. So there's lots of practice before you launch yourself onto the platform. But once you're there, you have an amazing support. And I think, Nia, you mentioned this earlier on, there's a whole kind of community there when you get on the platform and you're talking to a texter, and you have a clinician virtually alongside you, overlooking your conversation, helping you, advising you. You can also chat to them. And then we have peer supporters around on the platform, other volunteers who are often in what we call a global chat, which is like a little chat room on the platform for people to just sort of say, oh, you know, maybe I'm feeling a bit nervous, or I'm eating cheese on toast. I've seen that. So people will just chat to each other. So there's an awful lot of support, both from clinicians and from other volunteers while on the platform. Now, off the platform, coaches are there to help you with any skills you feel that you need to help you in your volunteering, or anything to do with confidence or further training needs. As I said, our community is a very strong community, very vocal, very vibrant, brilliant fundraisers, brilliant speakers, as you can hear today, and very inclusive and very encouraging of new people or people at different phases of their volunteering. As I said before, we provide a sort of a program of ongoing training and support. So we have things like lunch and learns, which you can join in a meeting a bit like this. And we have external speakers sometimes. We have a regular safeguarding themed forum. We have some clinical input. There's quite a lot of sort of clinical thinking or topics that are very relevant to our texter population that you can get involved in. And we have lots of groups in our community learning platform as well. So Nia and Chris, can you give us your kind of view of the support that you've received from coaches or supervisors and in the community? Chris, do you want to go first?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to actually add to what you were saying about that that whole platform, and I wave my hand around because it's actually sitting in front of me on the screen as I'm sitting here now. That's what my platform looks like. Is that when you're there and talking to texters, if you need support, you reach out for it. You can reach out to it, lots of different people within that. What's really interesting that I've enjoyed, because I felt valued through it, is when you're working with some of the supervisors on a particular confidence check-in or something like that, or there's a particular conversation you're having that needs a bit of extra support, is that I don't feel that anybody takes over. It's not about taking over. It's about supporting us through the additional learning so that we can do the next thing better. So there's the support is very, the support is very supportive, but it's people sitting alongside you, helping you to learn at the same time, rather than saying, okay, I'll take that over, I'll deal with it, I'll take it away from you. So every conversation, there's something to be gained in it. You're right, there are a lot of biscuit conversations take place, biscuit and coffee and favorite chocolate conversations that take place. But actually, the point about self-care, when you're sitting there on the platform, it's really, really important to have those moments where you take a deep breath talk about chocolate, talk about biscuits, whatever it might be, and then come back into the conversation or pick up the next conversation with the texter. So there's something about, I mean, I've used the word pacing earlier, but there's a pacing piece about what you're doing. I'm not sure if that, I can't actually remember the question now, but I answered something.
I think that you've answered it. I'm really happy that you do feel supported, and you know, the idea that sort of, you know, learning is held between us is very important for us. You know, we might have people who have a certain training, you know, like our clinicians, but we're all sort of facing our texters with, you know, who have the same, you know, who have issues that we want to sort of help them through. So we need to sometimes do that together.
And I think just to add to that is that we all come at it slightly differently. We all bring a different style. Actually, bringing a different style to the platform is actually okay, because, you know, we're all unique. The texters are unique, so we'll approach it in a different way. So that sort of inclusive, find your own style, find your own pace is entirely acceptable. Yeah,
individuals very much welcomed. Nia, what about you? What about the support how do you find the support?
Well, I think it actually links really nicely with what you've just said, is that I actually, for the first time in my so many years I've been on this planet, I really feel like I can be authentically me. And this role has just enabled me to be that. You know, listen, I am me, I'm unique. I don't have to be this you know, I don't have to be anybody else. You know, I have brought something unique to the platform with the guidelines, but I can be me, and within that structure, it's offering that texter when nobody else in the world is listening to them, we are. And so having that connection, and they say to you, you know, I thought you'd be a robot, or I thought it was going to be AI, and we're not, we're human. And, you know, I might make a tiny spelling error, not often. And so I'll apologize for that. And, you know, it just becomes a chat rather than this huge, enormous chat. It's a chat, and it just really becomes a human connection. And I find with me, because I'm a creature of habit and I really enjoy my routines, that I do the same shifts, and I've done the same shifts for pretty much nearly 4 years now. And so I've worked with the same supervisors, and the same volunteers might pop up. And so I may not have ever met these people. I have met some volunteers. I've probably met about 10 or so face to face, because I got really brave. But actually the supervisors that I work with, we work alongside, we're very equal, and there really is no judgment. And it's just so lovely to just be us. And it's like literally the most empathetic community I've ever met, because we're all the same tribe with the same people. We want the same thing, and we bring so much compassion. And I think that's unique. I don't know if you're going to ever get that in any other environment. So for me, it's the knowing that I can ask the supervisor anything and fully supported, but also it's that connection with other volunteers. I really enjoy seeing the same people or the new people coming through and chatting to them about what they're having for tea, or equally that they need to look after themselves, and when they're brave and say, gosh, that was really hard. Yeah, it is really hard. Tell us about it. Like, we're here for it. You know, it's okay. But I think probably finally for me, it's you guys as Mental Health Innovations and at Shout, you know, having been around a while, you listen to us. And so we all sort of jumped on the bandwagon when Prince William put out his call to arms back in that May 2019, and I was like, yes, let's do it. But we've evolved, and I feel like over the last 4 years, if there was stuff that wasn't quite working for us as volunteers as we've grown, you guys have really heard us. And so the way that the support has been set up and structures has changed, and perhaps tweaks along the way. So I really genuinely, even though I'm one of 2,500 or however many we are, I really feel like you know who I am and you've heard me, which is really important in any community, but especially in one that's quite a intense topic.
Yes. Thank you, Nia. We're going to need to end fairly soon. I was just struck by, while you were both talking, just thinking about, a lot of people will say, do you have to have experience in the mental health field to be able to volunteer? And when I said we're inclusive and we welcome everybody, that is exactly what we need. We need a breadth of skills and approaches and life experiences and backgrounds, and so I would say really just think about applying to be a volunteer, and take the leap. Even if you don't have this in your background. What we want is people who have a feeling for people, people who want to help and can learn, and want to become part of a community that helps each other and helps other people. Can I just ask you each very briefly whether you have any advice for anybody if they wanted to apply to be a volunteer tonight? They're thinking about applying tonight. What would be your advice, just very briefly?
I would say grasp it. You start learning from the moment that you actually fill in the application form. That's part of the learning. It's incredibly valuable what we do, and you will feel very valued.
Thank you. Nia?
I'd say take the leap of faith for sure. But also, as I sometimes say to my texters, if a friend was considering it, then what would you say to your friend? So just sort of spin it around on yourself and just give yourself that advice, and just go for it. It's amazing. It's life-changing.
Thank you so much. Can I just put up the next slide just to show you some feedback from some of our volunteers? Listening to texters helps me feel more connected with others, and supporting them gives me a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. And somebody else says, I just feel a warmth when I'm on the platform, not just towards texters, but towards other volunteers and myself, which is a wonderful thing. And on the last slide, we have the link to volunteering. So please do. You don't have to follow that particular link. You can go onto our website, and there's a place there where you can apply. If you have any questions, please email media@giveusashout.org. It's just been absolutely lovely to have so many people here. Thank you all for giving up your Thursday evening, and I'd like to give a huge thanks to Chris and Nia, not just for your amazing volunteering, but for, again, sort of being here and speaking so kind of boldly and honestly about your experiences. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Great comments.